notes of Wednesday night and Sunday nights. Sunday night, we have typically an open otvoreni dialogue where we write questions on the table and then we talk about a specific question. The only thing that we're going to change is we're still going to have questions and answers, but um, we're going to have more preparation for each topic. So say Lubisha is on the schedule to teach next Sunday night. Lubisha is going to choose a topic off the board. He's going to prepare, and then he's going to get some time to teach on that moment. And then we're going to talk about it a little bit afterward. But at least what that does is it gives the conversation some direction, right? Rather than just having like a evolutionary explosion of information, we can have more of a direct approach and information flow. So maybe say my week is next week. So I'm going to choose something off the board Sunday, and I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to talk about displacing God's name, which could be like using a bunch of terms to replace God's name. And there's a bunch of them. I don't know in Russian if you have them, or Serbian if you have them. Do you have secondary God names in Serbian? Like in English, we use like holy smoke.
Yes.
We use
Don't mention that, please.
we use just a lot of
neko drugo ime za Boga.
yeah. If you're going to curse or if you're going to say something
We
like
have curse, not
we
second
could say something like "geez." Like "geez" is a word that does not exist, but people use that word because it sounds a lot like Jesus. They don't want to say Jesus in a
gosh is like that.
gosh. Yeah.
In Serbia don't have unfortunately,
Yeah.
we have only curse words.
Yeah. So in English we have
Dear,
in English we have curse words, we have actual God's names, and then we have this middle ground that kind of blends curse words in with God's name. So it's interesting.
In Russia, we sometimes see Господь.
yes.
Господь.
But it's not sweet Lord or something like that. You have in English that?
Oh, we could say sweet Jesus. Like
Yes,
in the South,
right in the middle.
in South they would say something like that. Yeah.
We have only that, Slatki Bože.
Yeah.
Only that.
Yeah. So basically what I would do is I would prepare a 20-minute lesson or 20-minute, you could say 20-minute lesson or 20-minute devotion on that topic, and then I would teach it, and then we would use the rest of the time to talk about anything extra, right? So it'd still be this, but with just a little bit of a twist.
Next Wednesday also will be like this.
Next Wednesday? What? No, next Wednesday I think is Christmas.
No, Christmas is 2025.
So 2 weeks. Okay, so I think on Wednesday is Christmas evening.
Yes.
And we've been talking to people about what to do, and I think most of the people spend Christmas Day with family. I think that's can't. Yeah, I'm not sure what the solution has been. You have to ask Kaylin. She's talking with the different ladies and whatnot on what they do. I think she talked to you, but
She didn't talk to me. I didn't say nothing.
yeah. Well, she's
sent you message, that's different. But she talked to you. She sent you message.
Да, ali ja nisam ništa. Ja sam samo rekla 25. Božić.
yeah. So I think maybe next Wednesday there's a potential that we might have a special Christmas Eve service here
25, nothing.
on the 25. We can do something, my family, because we don't do much, but I think most other people have stuff to do on the 25th.
And 7th January. People also celebrate 7th January in this country.
Yeah.
It's normal.
Is the 7th, is that Christmas Day or Christmas Eve?
Christmas
Day.
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 Serbia
First
does.
day, like 25.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't have a preference. I'm not a big holiday guy, but I'll do either way, whatever. But so on Wednesday nights, we're going to do more like this. This is going to be, we're going to talk about just as we go forward. I think it's important to have unity, to have direction, And I think it'd be good to spend the next few weeks just in unity, So we're basically going to be using this. This is talking about getting along. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. My sons really struggle with getting along. And so we're going to, the next 6 weeks, we're going to spend the time just going through different scriptures about getting along. I have today's lesson prepared here. I want to hand these out to you guys. And you guys can take one. You might be able to get the idea from there. Here, Lubicia, this is for Alexandra. No, I'll read it to you. You can get the idea. So this is today's concept, but I'll go over the overview. So we'll come together. We'll have prayer. We'll do the scripture reading, and then we'll do just a small teaching, and then discussion. We'll discuss it. Maybe you have a testimony, something that
Serbian don't have.
I just made it in this. No, I didn't. We have a closing prayer. And so on the back side, you'll see why we struggle to get along. That's today. We're going to talk about that today. Next week talks about listening before responding. And these are subject to change depending on what happens. Pride, humility, responsibility, week 3. And I'm also streaming this on Breeze. So if you want to follow along in Serbian, it's got live subtitles right in Serbian here as well. Okay. All right. So week 4 is forgiveness without pretending. Right? How many times have I forgive you, but I really don't forgive you? I just pretend. Now, we Americans are very good at pretending.
We smile.
Yes, just smile. Yes,
Glumiti ili pretvarati? Pa to nije isto. Glumiti is acting.
Yeah.
Pretvarati.
Yeah, acting. Yeah,
Acting is glumiti.
yeah. Pretending,
Pretend
acting.
is something else.
Yeah. Week 6 is unity without uniformity. And that's going to be a fun one. That's the concept of getting along without being identical. In a lot of churches, there's a lot of different backgrounds and different types of people come from different places around the world. And so to try to have unity without uniformity, we don't have to act exactly the same. We don't have to dress exactly the same. So, and then it gives some discussion guidelines as we have open discussion. And when it comes time for open discussion, I'll turn off the live stream and then we can just speak freely. But I'll live stream the lesson. And so that'll be the concept. So the goal is to stay within an hour. I want to keep it succinct. And so turn your Bibles to James 4 and verse 1. And we're going to look at James. We just did this. So that's the fun part. We just did this in Sunday school class. We went through James. But we're going to understand the scripture about everyday conflict and learning how to respond in a Christ-like way. Now, I'm still learning this. And I don't always respond in a Christ-like way. I think every one of you know probably my faults. So let's read the scripture in James 4. Before we do, it does say, or it doesn't say, but we do find that James is written primarily to Christians, I believe. And it says this: from where comes wars and fightings? This isn't talking about in Russia or in Ukraine or in Kosovo or in Venezuela. This is talking about inside the church. Because it says among you, And he's talking to these Christians that struggled to get along inside the church. And he said, from where do they come? Come they not hence? Or he says, don't they come because of lust inside your body? He says this: you lust and have not. You kill and desire to have, and cannot obtain. Ye fight and war, yet ye have not, because ye ask not. So that's the verse we're going to talk about today, and I hope it can be a blessing. And we'll talk about stuff that's been happening even in church here. Every church goes through growing pains. Dali snaš growing pains.
Rastući bol.
Kada ti uspored, when you're growing as a young lady, and your bones is like maybe when you're 7 to 14, you grow so quickly, your bones can hurt, your body can hurt. Right? Right? They call that growing pains. And it's the same thing I've heard happen in every church has the same situation. Growing pains. There becomes a need for more servants. Maybe somebody had a desire for something that someone else got, whether it's to teach a Sunday school class or in maintenance or whatever, and someone doesn't get what they desire, it can cause sometimes issues and hurt feelings. So that's what growing pains is. So the context, James is writing to believers, not unbelievers. The conflict he describes are real and personal. He points first to the source, not the situation. So it's the source that's within us that causes these issues. So number one, we have to understand this, that conflict is a common thing. Alexandra might go to Germany again, and she might have to work in the same house as another lady, two of you in one house. Maybe it's a huge house. There could be conflict, or maybe the lady that's coming out of the house as you're going in. I mean, there's conflict. And how do we go through this? Lubisha, working here or working with someone that might come after me, right? Maybe a different missionary comes. Maybe I go back to the U.S. and I get fired, and they say, you're done. Your days are over, Moses. We're giving Joshua. No. How are we going to handle these things? I wrote a story online about the time when I was a Viking. You didn't get a chance to watch the video. When I was a young boy, I was probably around 10, maybe 11 years old. And I remember getting into a huge fight with my brother. And let's see, here's this one. Me and my brother got into this fight. I picked up a garden hose. Sieve? Tak se kaže sieve?
Garden, Steve, it's kolac.
Hose, like to water the garden. A hose, like a water hose, to water the garden. Or to wash your car. It's rubber.
It's rubber.
What?
Slang.
Schlong.
Schlaf.
Schlaf.
Debelo crevo, da.
Crevo.
Da.
Crevo za vodu.
Yeah, we were using that to fill the garden with water, right? And my brother picked up a hoe, which is like, and he comes at me because he's angry, and I pick up a hose and I'm angry. And so we just go into battle with these garden tools.
How do you fight a hoe with a hose?
Oh, well, the
Americans
end
are
of the
like
hose,
bracket,
the end of the
don't
hose is metal. So you
Metal,
just can
yes.
swing it around and you have a 5-meter length. Right?
Kad ima nešto ili-
So,
Imaš nisi vidjela nekad crevo na kraju imaš onaj gajter što se priključuje.
like right here, I'll show you right now. I'll pull out my,
Alexandra grew up in city, she don't grow up in village, she doesn't know how these things look or function.
I'll pull out my, here, I'll pull out this. This is my USB-C cord. And now,
Look at this.
I can swing it around. Or maybe if I put it like this, right?
Yes.
Hvala.
You know
And I'm
what
like-
we did when we were children?
Huh.
We take elastic stuff which used for pens, how it's called?
Yeah.
You know what it means?
Mm-hmm.
And put the measurement tool on the scales
Oh, yeah.
together. Yes.
whop each other, is what they say. Yeah.
That's pretty serious stuff.
But looking back on the fights that I had, the garden, like in James, is not the problem. The problem was within me. I didn't want to be there. My expectations were not met, and that's a big one. And that's what this is about, is missed expectations. Maybe let's pick on Gleb here, okay? Yeah, he gets married, and his wife that marries him, he thinks she's wonderful, right? And sooner or later, maybe he gets to realize the real who she is, and she's lazy, and she's dirty. She doesn't clean up after herself. She acts a little bit like a dog. Okay. And you have these missed expectations on what marriage was supposed to be like. Like, marriage was supposed to be a good, fun thing. And now I'm more miserable now than I was when I was single, right? And so now what happens? Fighting, picking. I can't believe you do this. You're just like your mother. I can't believe you do this. You're just like your uncle, right? Gleb's like, oh, no, please. Oh, it can be horrible,
Just look straight.
But you think about, where does that fighting come from? Well, in these cases, it's sometimes missed expectations. Having a desire for something. Maybe it's love. Maybe you think you're going to get to kiss your wife every day, but she doesn't want to be kissed every day. He doesn't want to be kissed every day. Leave me alone. You have bad breath all the time. I don't want to kiss you. I don't want to be around you. You smell bad. And what you thought was going to be wonderful ends up being miserable. The same thing can happen with a car. The same thing can happen with a job. In churches, this happens. Many people come to church and they want to be part of something. They want to grow with the church, and maybe they have a talent, and maybe they expect that talent to be used. But when something happens and when something moves and they realize that my expectations of what I deserve or what I want hasn't been met, that can cause upset feelings, conflict, right? So what is that? They all go back to lust. Lust doesn't have to be off of a scantily clad woman. Lust, did I say it right? Scantily? Glad help me.
Scandalous.
I don't know, but
Scantily
No,
clad?
scandalous.
clad is an ironclad.
Scantily clad is like little clothed.
Scandalous.
Probably.
Maybe it's a southern type of wording there, maybe.
Pure clothed woman.
Yeah. So it doesn't have to be one of those women on the billboard to lust. It doesn't have to be money. Lust can even be a position. Lust can even be a marriage or a relationship. Like, we used to go through this marriage book. It was called Love and Respect. And one of the things that book pointed out was missed expectations. And in a relationship, she feels like she's doing all the work. And he feels like he's doing all the work. And so together, you decide, listen, I'll do 50 as long as you do 50. 50%. Polarity, right? We do 50. This is a relationship. I do 50%, you do 50%. But when that expectation is not met, what are you doing? Why are you so lazy? What's going on? But this book, this man, again, the book's title is Love and Respect. It talks about how, no, give 60 and only expect 40. Right? Give 60 and only respect 40. Jesus said this. He talked about turning the other cheek. That's the concept, is not getting even not taking eye for an eye or tooth for a tooth. So, number one is conflict is common. And I get to stop here in a moment and then we'll talk about it, all right? So, I was telling these guys that Sunday nights and Wednesday nights are going to change a little bit, in that Sunday, we're going to still have the questions, but who's ever teaching is going to choose a topic the week before and prepare for it and then have direction. So, there's not just so much openness, but there's more of a direction, right? Not as much chaos, but planned. When an airplane crashes, it can spin out of control, but it's best if it crashes in one direction. Okay. No. And then on Wednesday nights, we're going to do the next 6 weeks, we're going to do about getting along. Okay. So Scripture assumes conflict will happen. Disagreement does not automatically mean sin. We're going to disagree, right? The way that pastor does things, the way that pastor acts. I'm telling you, I have seen this over and over again. Some church loses their pastor. They don't have a pastor. And they search for months and months and months for a pastor on Facebook. There's Facebook groups that has pastors like, we need a pastor, you know? And so finally, some guy comes. He's halfway handsome. He's halfway smart. He seems like he'll do. He comes and he presents himself. People are like, oh, this is great. They said, we found the perfect guy. Well, they hire him, or he joins the church. He becomes their pastor. A few months go by. Are we kind of stuck with this guy? Did we make the right decision? Right?
You want to stay with him, or
We call this concept in English, we call it, here's a word for you, ground shrinkage.
Ground shrinkage.
Ground shrinkage. Okay, this is a redneck term. Okay, this is your English phrase for the day.
okay?
All right? Us deer hunters, we go hunting for the big deer, right?
Okay.
And when you're sitting in the cold shaking and this deer walks by out in the woods, it looks like he is this big. And you're so desperate for a deer, right? You just want to go home and you see how big he is and you're like, oh, that's the one. So you pull up your gun and you're shaking, you know, because you got buck fever, right? Buck fever, or male deer bolesny, okay, buck fever. And you, the smoke goes, you get down, you go up to your deer and you find him and you grab him by the horns and he's this big. Just a small guy, but you thought he was this big.
Okay.
You know, the same thing happens in life, whether it's getting a driver's license. I think Lubisha has the proper concept on a driver's license. Maybe it's getting married. Maybe it's joining a church. Maybe it's being part of something. What seemed like such an awesome experience to get into, you end up being let down. You understand the concept of let down? Missed expectations.
No.
And because I think we talked about this with Alexander before, is having such high expectations. And when people don't meet those, then we want to take advantage and say, listen, you did me wrong, right? And this is a great spot of, it's a lust, our lust for perfectness, our lust to be not wronged, right? It's lust. It's a desire. It's an ungodly desire because we are going to be wronged, right? Taken advantage of. So even believers struggle with relationships. And so we'll go through these quickly. Conflict often starts inside of us. James points to our desires, not the circumstances, right? It's not the circumstances around us that cause the fighting. It's the desires that we have on the inside. So, understanding the source changes how we can respond. If conflict only comes from others, then we feel justified. If conflict comes from within, then humility becomes possible. We can self-examine. We can't change anyone else. We can only change how we respond to it. You know,
Dok drugi zamenjati, moramo promijeniti sebe kako
I remember even in Bible college, where I went to Bible college, they have this practice preaching thing where these young men go and they practice preaching, and all the other kids come around and listen. It's a fellowship. And they asked me to do it one time, and they never asked me again.
Šta nisu?
Why?
I don't know. Ask them.
Šta nisu?
Jednom su mu tražili da propoveda pred svima I više nikada.
Maybe they don't like perfect preaching. Okay. That's not true. But I remember feeling wronged and bitter
Da ga je neko povredio.
because how they perceived me. But I honestly don't know how they perceived me.
Kako su nas shvatili.
And I really don't know. There's like 400 students, you know? But I just felt that my expectations were not being met. You know, I could say the same thing about the church. I've been here for how many years?
3, 4.
Now, because of my wonderful leadership, Luisha, the church should be doing this and this and this, right? If that was my expectations. But that would be wrong of me, right? My job is to teach the best I can and let God move in the hearts of people. And the church will move only as fast as hearts move, you know? So I have to be careful how I handle circumstances and expectations. You know, sometimes we do outreach projects, and I'm so excited. Like, I think this Saturday in the morning, we're going to go to the market and give away Bibles, right? And in my mind, I would think everybody would be excited about giving away free Bibles for Christmas. But not only when we go, that maybe no one comes as far as us. And so my expectations are like, man. And then secondly, nobody at the market takes any Bibles. And my expectations turn me into anger. You see? So we're going to talk for the next few weeks about resolutions, about conflict resolution, how to cope with that, you know, how to go through these things. So understanding the source, that it's not the people around me. Me and Lubisha know a fella that used to work in Serbia as a minister. And he sometimes got very bitter. His expectations were not met, and it changed him. And if I'm not careful, it's going to happen to me. And I don't want to become a monster. I already see my teeth growing and my fingernails getting long. I can see it. And if I'm not careful, watching my expectations, you know, me and Lubisha, we have sometimes little fights. You know, this project is not moving along. I have expectations. And can you see it, Lubisha? You can see it, can't you? It's not his fault or my fault. It's just misplaced expectations. As long as we're doing our best, hey, give it to God. You know, maybe we could say the same for Lubisha or for Gleb, wanting an expectations of a pastor, of a smart man of God who knows how to handle himself, who knows the scriptures more than Moses himself, right? We want that. I remember when I was a young boy wanting a pastor that spent time with me. I remember having dreams about going kayaking. Why kayaking? I have no idea. But going kayaking with my pastor. It wasn't my pastor. It was some other man in my dream that was my pastor. And I wanted this pastor to act like that pastor. My invisible pretend pastor, right? Who kind of like maybe you've never watched the Andy Griffith Show. Well, you guys should definitely go home and watch the Andy Griffith Show. You've seen the Andy Griffith Show? Historical American TV series.
Only Griffith show.
All right, anyways. But Andy Griffith was like this good old man that took care of this boy, this son, and it was like, man, I wanted that for a pastor in my life. And when my expectations did not get met, that affected me. But they were just my expectations. And so for us to have a good relationship, you find it? Yeah. You should
Yes.
watch one of those.
Yes, CBS from 60 to 68.
Yeah. It's a long running show.
Yes.
But if people in this church, if people in this church begin to have super high expectations for what a pastor should do, should be, should act like, and I don't meet those expectations, because most people here come from other churches. You come from a church in Russia, yeah? Did you go to church in Russia? No?
Once I
Once?
told the story.
Really?
Once
Okay.
I'll tell you.
Someday, okay. But, people that come here come from other churches. And maybe some of those churches have very professionally trained pastors who know how to hold themselves. And when they come here and they see an American, and they see that I miss their expectations, it begins to hurt the relationship. You see? It's so powerful. My wife today, don't tell her this, but I was eating supper and she had cooked the chicken for too long. And that chicken was so dry, if you dropped it on the floor, it would break the floor. Okay? Okay, I'm just kidding. She'll probably watch this later. I'm just kidding. No. But if you say, man, I have standards, I have all these expectations, guess what that's going to do? Food is food. Eat the chicken. But it can really damage our relationship depending on that. Maybe Christmas. Here we go. You guys are going to have Christmas. I don't know if you guys do Christmas presents. Do you do Christmas presents, Luisha?
We have other traditions
No?
for Sunday Eve, 24th.
Oh, man.
That's the more important than 25th.
So I remember growing up, we did Christmas, traditional American style Christmas, where we buy presents. And I remember so many years being so disappointed. Disappointed.
You expected something?
Yeah. I'm like, because this year, my father bought me a motorcycle, like a little children's motorcycle. All right. So next year, it'll be something more, right? And then it's like maybe some plastic toys and some socks. Like, is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Dude, I remember one year me and my brother, we would go on these expeditions throughout the house to try to find the presents. Where are they at?
Research house.
We would go spy around the house.
Alexandra, this is your brothers.
Yes.
Они ще покучи да трябва.
And one day, I climbed up in my dad's closet and I found a pistol, a gun, in a box, and it looked brand new. And I said, "That's for me."
Wow.
Now it's not. No, it may sound weird, but it's not out of the ordinary for American parents to buy their children guns. It's not unordinary. I had my first guns that my parents bought me when I was just a little guy. Okay, I know it sounds strange, but that's just the way life was.
That's the power number one.
But here's the crazy part: is I thought that gun was purchased for me. I'd never seen it before, and so I'm waiting for Christmas. Like, oh wow, that's nice. Next one. Oh, that's nice. Thank you. I just breeze through my presents and I'm waiting. What else is there? No, that's it. Ah, you're joking with me.
How old you were?
I was probably 10.
Ay, ay.
She's with 54 like that.
Yeah. Is that
I'm not 54.
is that it?
50,
Is that it? No.
54.
That's
Not
not-
50.
And then finally I realized that there were no more presents. Like my whole joy was robbed. I got all these new things, but my expectations were not met. And it caused me to have a bad day. Even with all these new toys and presents. So we got to think about our expectations. Maybe it's coming from Russia to Serbia. Maybe it's going to Germany. Maybe someday for Lubisha might be working with a different company or working with a different church. No matter where we go, we have to guard our heart. Maybe it's going to school in Germany. Go enjoy the moments that God has given you, but don't have such high expectations that people are going to accept you. They're going to bring you in. It's probably not going to happen. So just try to find that peace within your heart. And then we're going to close there, and then we'll discuss this, all right? So we got 4 questions we can ask around ourselves if we have time. You guys can stay as long as you like. We have about 15 minutes. So understand the source. If conflict only comes from others, then we feel justified. It talks about self-examination. Peace often begins when we stop asking what's wrong and we start asking what's going on in my heart. So that's conflict. We talk about conflict resolution. So I'm going to stop this now, and then I'd like to hear your guys' stories and things that you guys have gone through as well. All right? That's it.